actually never planned on writing this song. It was completely randomly inspired by a gardening book title that I saw that kind of spawned into an ode to solitude. This is how I wrote How to Grow Lilies on the Moon.
Heart beating the earth. She is close but always far away.
I saw a gardening book cover. I think it was on Pinterest. I was scrolling through Pinterest and it said, How to Grow Lilies on the Moon. And it was such an odd, strange title, very whimsical, very Wes Anderson, that I was like, wow, I love that. Like it immediately sort of like sparked my imagination because it's such an unusual thing. You know, you can't grow lilies on the moon. So it's like a little bit fairy tale, completely unusual. And it like immediately got my mind rolling. And as I was writing, the first things that came to my mind when I saw that title was, they say there's a girl who lives on the moon, takes lunar walks in the afternoons. I was like, wait, what if this entire song is about embracing solitude and finding peace with yourself when being by yourself? This is verse 1.
They say there's a girl who lives on the moon, takes lunar walks in the afternoon. She hums to the stars and celestial spheres, plants quiet thoughts where no one else hears.
As I was starting to write this, I realized that it was kind of becoming a sister song to House Party. I did House Party back in 2019, so that was like 6 years ago, 7 years, 7 years. And that one was sort of like a joyful celebration of having a party all by yourself. And it was just around the time in my life when I started to embrace the fact that I enjoy being alone. I'm a total loner and I loved it. And I think growing up, especially in high school and maybe in my late teens, I sort of felt this societal pressure, to be around people all the time, to hang out with people. But I never felt fully comfortable with that environment. I always came back home and was just like so relieved to be alone again. And so when COVID started and it was kind of more socially acceptable to be by yourself, to be alone, I was like, wait a second. I kind of thrive in this environment. Why would I not optimize my life to support my own happiness and my joy? And that's when I started more embracing this side of me of like just being comfortable with being by myself. And so House Party started at the beginning of that journey. It was like fun and funky, and I never thought I would write a song about that again. But then when I saw this title, like I said, it's like a sister song to House Party, where now I'm a little bit older, a little bit more mature, and it's more of a peaceful song, more a song about embracing solitude and finding joy and calm within it. And when I was writing it, one of my main goals was to keep it whimsical, to keep it a little bit odd, like the title is, but also to never break this metaphor of being alone on the moon. I wanted to include as many scientifically accurate astrophysics, astronomy facts in the song, to kind of make it feel more and more spacey, but to also never break, like never cut the connection between this metaphor and the meaning of the song, never to put it like almost in the first person. And so they say there's a girl who lives on the moon, takes lunar walks in the afternoon. Very strange, very odd, almost sounds like an opening line to something Wes Anderson would do, and I love Wes Anderson. She hums to the stars and celestial spheres, plants quiet thoughts where no one else hears. So the plant there, planting is kind of a hint at what will come next about growing lilies on the moon, kind of growing, seeing beauty in solitude. But then the celestial spheres is actually an astronomy fact. This is from ancient Greeks when they were observing the sky, like in the time of Aristotle. And so the proposition for this theory was that the space, the universe, was actually geocentric, so that everything revolved around the Earth. And so there were like these celestial spheres around the Earth where different components, if you will, of the universe orbited around the moon, so around the Earth. So you had like the moon, you had the sun, you had the stars, but it was all orbiting around the Earth. And so they used this theory. It was like the rock bed of, or like this is the foundation of modern astronomy. And it wasn't until Copernicus in the 17th century that they realized that, or he proposed that our galaxy is actually heliocentric, so that it rolls around, everything orbits around the sun, not around the earth. But I thought it was like a cool cool kind of allusion to some history behind astronomy, and it felt really fitting with the song. So celestial spheres, now you know something new, you can look it up. Pre-chorus.
She dances in craters where Tycho rays roam, her feet barely touching the dust she calls home.
Again, we're continuing with this metaphor of a girl living on the moon. She dances in craters where Tycho rays roam. So the moon is full of craters, and one of the biggest ones, or the biggest one, is the Tycho crater. And the special thing about this is that when a meteor hit it, all of this sediment and rock from bottom layers of the lunar surface spewed out and created these giant streaks across the lunar surface, and those are called Tycho rays, because that sediment, that rock that's spewed out, the composition of those rocks is different than the lunar surface. So the color of it is different. It's lighter. That rock is lighter, so you can clearly see it streak across the lunar surface. And because the moon has no atmosphere, they hadn't changed from the moment of that impact, where the rocks initially spewed out. They stayed in the exact same places. So these it kind of alludes to this something chaotic happening to then leading to something peaceful and beautiful. And I think that's like a very profound sort of reflection also in living in today's world and embracing solitude. You know, it's like something calm and sort of like awe-inspiring being birthed out of something very chaotic and very messy, if you will. So those are Tycho rays. Her feet barely touching the dust she calls home. This alludes to the fact that the moon has a very low gravity, and so you just kind of like float on top of it. So her feet barely are touching the dust, the lunar surface that she calls home. Chorus.
Happening we are. She is close but always far away. Gardens in that gray. Her to bloom now. She's growing lilies on the moon.
Along with that first opening line of the first verse, that was the second thing that I actually wrote. So like the timeline of the song kind of like jumped around through different sections of the song. So this is what I had is orbiting the earth, she is close but always far away. And I thought that was both simple but kind of profound when you start thinking about it, because when you look up into the sky, you see the moon every night, right? And it feels like it's so close. It's basically the closest celestial body that you can see from Earth, and it feels so near, so familiar. And yet it takes so much effort to get to it. So much power and energy to even just resist the Earth's gravity to then launch into space. And so I think there's something really beautiful about, like, if you take that metaphor into the real world, like seeing someone every day, or like seeing me on social media or whatever, but it's still like it feels familiar, but it's also so far away. Or like any person in your life that enjoys solitude, like you see them but you don't really see them, and I think that's kind of fun. She's close but always far away. Gardens in the gray, so growing these beautiful lush gardens in the grayness, in these sort of something that's very, what's the word for it? Like the moon feels very desolate and empty, and yet you're growing gardens in that. Learned to bloom. Now she's growing lilies on the moon. So you're finding joy and beauty in solitude. That's what that means. Second verse.
She watches the earth from a tidal-locked ledge, far from the noise and the gravity's edge. She moves with the rhyme of the galaxy's prose. Secrets she waters where no one else goes.
So watching the earth from a tidal-locked ledge. So the moon is tidally locked to the earth. So it means that when it orbits around the earth, you only always see one side of the moon. That's why there's a dark side of the moon. So you never ever see it. You always see the moon from the same side, no matter where you are. And I think, again, that's like a really beautiful parallel to the world seeing one side of you, but never another. And I don't mean that like in a duality kind of way, but I think especially in today's world where oversharing is kind of encouraged and almost expected. Like everyone needs to know everything about you. Whether that's if you're in a role like me where you're trying to promote your own music and you're trying to share as much as yourself as possible, or also in just like an everyday user person kind of way that is on social media, you feel this expectation that everyone will know everything about you. And I think especially in this era, it's kind of important and beautiful to keep certain parts of yourself to yourself. Not that you're hiding who you truly are, but there are certain parts of you that you leave untouched by the world. And I think that's important and also kind of beautiful. Not talked about a lot, but to me at least, I think that's a big part of staying true to yourself, is keeping some of you for yourselves. Watches the earth from a tidal-locked ledge, far from the noise and the gravity's edge. So you're observing everything that feels in a way that feels almost from a distance. You know, if you enjoy solitude, you almost always feel like a little bit disengaged from what's happening. And so you can you protect your own peace, enjoy your peace without getting involved in some of the craziness that goes on in today's world. She moves with the rhyme of the galaxy's prose, kind of appreciating the natural world in a way, and taking this opportunity of solitude to really observe the world and see what's happening around you. And then secrets she waters where no one else goes. That's another part of the tidal locked line, where it's like there are certain parts about yourself, certain secrets that you water in like places of your little lunar garden where nowhere else can go. Pretty gorgeous.
No signal to follow, no tether to trace. She floats through the static in infinite space.
Poetically disconnected from the world. And this pre-chorus especially was inspired by Space Oddity and Rocket Man. And I wanted to really hone in on like the whole space metaphor and try and use as many space related terms as possible. So no signal to follow, you know, like when you try to reach an astronaut in space, or like in Space Oddity, ground control of a major tom, and then they lose signal. No tether to trace, so nothing tethering you to like almost like protecting your peace in the way that you stay by yourself, so there's nothing tethering you to anything. You can go wherever you want. No signal to follow, no tether to phrase. She floats through the static as in shh, no one can get in touch with you. Shh, static. She floats through static in infinite space, so she can kind of like go wherever she wants, whether you want to take that as literally traveling or in your mind, kind of being free from drama or distractions. That's kind of how I see it. And now, perhaps my favorite part, the bridge.
Build a rocket to go and see her. That's what falling in love is for. Build a rocket to go and see her. That's what falling in love is for.
I really like this bridge. It kind of came together totally randomly. The lyrics are so simple. There's nothing fancy about them, and yet they feel deep. Because it reveals another part of the song, that you don't necessarily always want to stay in this solitude, like that you're open to being like, to have other people join you there. But it also needs to be made with effort and with true love and understanding. So kind of like this longing for a deep connection with someone. And that's why it says, build a rocket to go and see her. So it's like, we know that in order to get to this person, to invest effort. You know, it's such a mass undertaking to build a rocket and to escape Earth's gravity and travel to the moon. That's what falling in love is for. So true love is meant to sort of like go overtake any obstacle, and be true and pure in the sense that you're willing to do whatever it takes for the other person. And that's what this bridge is for. This song is very personal to me because I think it blends a very core part of my personality, which is this enjoyment of solitude, but also pairs it with my love for kind of like that nerdy side of loving science fiction and science and being very intrigued by the wonders of space. You know, I've read like not just space, but like our entire existence. And I think there's multiple songs that I've touched on that fascination. Like August talks about, you know, space travel in a way. November talks about parallel timelines, Timekeeper Secret, and then Montana Sky also kind of like being awestruck by just being. And so this song kind of puts all of that into one, which is very exciting to me. Let me know if you have any questions about it. I hope you enjoy the song, or that you, however you interpret it, I hope that it means something to you as well. All right, I'll see you in the next one.